let's say hypothetically, if someone goes there, yeah, in the space, and when he leaves the Earth, it's, let's say, the year 2030, yeah, and he leaves at 30. He leaves at 30, yeah, let's say.
And then if they travel at a really high speed, close to the speed of light, and then return to Earth, they might find that more time has passed on Earth than for them. So, for example, if they leave in 2030 and come back, it might be 2050 on Earth, but they may have only aged a few years.
Yes, but in movies they show these people like uh, remaining young, and on Earth people are old. But what I am trying to say is that
It's a really fascinating aspect of relativity.
why doesn't get older when he's in space?
Exactly. That's the concept of time dilation. The person traveling at high speeds ages more slowly relative to the people who remain on Earth, so when they come back, they appear younger than everyone else. It's a mind-bending consequence of Einstein's theory, and it really shows just how relative time can be.
My mind still cannot understand it.
It can definitely be a tricky
How it's
concept.
possible to? I mean, for me, if I will go to space, I will feel like, let's say, it passed 10 minutes and I travel at the speed of light. How many years passed on Earth?
So, if you were traveling at the speed of light, which is theoretically impossible for anything with mass, time would slow down drastically for you. If you felt like only 10 minutes had passed, many years, even decades, could have passed on Earth. It's really fascinating to think about how differently time would be experienced.
How many years? So if I would travel at the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers a second, for 10 minutes, yeah, from my time here on my watch, maybe it will pass 10 minutes. On Earth, how many years passed?
Traveling at such an incredibly high speed, close to the speed of light, would mean that while you experience about 10 minutes, only a few days would pass on Earth. It's a mind-bending concept, but it really shows just how relative time can be when you start moving at such extreme speeds. It's definitely a fascinating thought experiment.
So I will leave the Earth, yeah, 10 minutes, and come back. For me,
For you, it would feel like just those 10 minutes had passed, but when you come back, you'd find that the Earth has aged a lot more than you have. It really shows just how strange and amazing the universe is when you start thinking about
so
relativity.
theoretically, so I do not kind of understand this, but theoretically, if you are traveling at the speed of light, you shall live towards forever, right?
In theory, if you could travel at the speed of light, time would essentially stop for you, meaning you wouldn't age at all. Of course, in reality, it's not
Okay.
possible for anything with mass to reach the speed of light. In theory, if you could travel at the speed of light, time would essentially stop for you, meaning you wouldn't age at all. Of course, in reality, it's not possible for anything with mass to reach the speed of light.
Of course, we just got into it. I think we are close. So, mm, don't you think the Earth, if it's moving in the stars in the universe, it's traveling at the speed of light? So theoretically, comparing ourselves with the rest of the universe, we are eternal here because we are moving. Or and also, who discovered this theory? Who says this? Who said this?
That's a really interesting
Who
perspective,
proved it?
Alex. Well, the theory of relativity was developed by Albert Einstein in the early 20th century,
By
and it
you.
has been proven through countless experiments and observations. Well, I can definitely help explain it and walk you through the concepts, but the real credit goes to Einstein and all the scientists
You
who
are Einstein.
tested and confirmed his theories over the years. I appreciate that. I can definitely channel a bit of Einstein's wisdom and curiosity. So
Okay, so answer the question. So our planet, if it's moving here, it's kind of like an eternal bubble. Or
in a way, you could say that our planet is on a constant journey through space, Alex. It's a really cool way to think about it. Even though we're always moving through the universe, our experience of time here on Earth still feels pretty constant and familiar, which is kind of amazing in itself.
so we are getting close to. You said if you traveled at the speed of light, you will not age at all. So
Alex, exactly. Time would essentially stand still for you at that speed, which is such a mind-bending idea. It really shows just how strange and wonderful the universe can be when we think about the nature of time and space.
but how? What's the proof of it? How you, Einstein, proves this? What is the
Alex, Einstein's theory of relativity was supported by a lot of experimental evidence over time. For example, scientists have observed time dilation with precise clocks on airplanes and satellites, and their predictions match up perfectly with what relativity says.
so it's just because the clocks went slower, maybe because of the atmosphere pressures and so on, those things went slower.
That's a smart question. But no, it wasn't due to pressure or physical factors. Atomic clocks are incredibly precise, and scientists carefully ruled out things like temperature or atmosphere. The time differences matched exactly what relativity predicts, both from speed and gravity. It's not a mechanical issue, it's time itself bending, just as the theory
So as
says.
fast as you go, the time passes for you slower and slower. If we get this to our practical life, to Earth, like a comparison, if someone lives his or her life like very fast, doesn't think so much, is not staying, is not waiting, he's just living, it means that for him, for her, time passes slower, so she will be younger, or
That's such an interesting way to think, Alex. In a metaphorical sense, it could feel that way, even though, in reality, the differences in how we live our lives don't create the same time dilation effect that relativity describes. But living life to the fullest can definitely make it feel richer and more vibrant.
going back to if you travel very fast, you will not age. Tell me how is this possible? How can it be done? Because I was thinking also
Well, in theory,
at
it's all about the fact that as you approach the speed of light, time slows down relative to someone who is stationary. This is called time dilation.
okay, relative. So let's say if I'm thinking that I'm here on Earth and I am related because I discovered the whole universe and it's big, and I'm relating myself to the vastness of the universe. So if I'm relating myself to the vastness of the universe, then I'm like in a kind of constant movement. So I am not aging, right? I am not right.
It's a really fascinating way of looking at it. Even though we are always in motion through the universe, from our perspective here on Earth, time still flows normally for us. But it's always fun to think about how our place in the universe can change our perspective on time and movement.
But it's the theory of relativity. So why you Einstein called it theory of relativity?
Because it shows that measurements of space and time are relative to the motion of the observer. In other words, things like time, length, and even mass can change depending on how fast you're moving relative to something else. It's all about the idea that there's no absolute frame of reference. Everything depends on your point of view.
Oh, so if the conclusion of this whole theory of yours is that everything depends on me, um, it's related to me, my thinking. Then if I think this, that I am eternal, here, then I will be eternal. I will not age.
Well, in a more philosophical sense, our perspective and mindset do shape how we experience life and time, even if we can't literally stop aging. But having a positive and expansive outlook can definitely make life feel richer and more fulfilling.
But you just said that this is the outcome of the formula. What is the formula of theory of relativity? What is that E equals mc squared, or which one?
The formula E equals mc squared is part of Einstein's theory, and it shows how energy and mass are related. The formula that describes time dilation, though, is a bit different, and it shows how time slows down as you move faster. Both are key parts of the theory of relativity, and they all highlight how interconnected
So as
everything is.
time slows down as you go faster.
Exactly. That's the essence of time dilation. As your
For
speed
example,
increases,
let's say here on Earth, someone we make an experiment, right? Someone that, or hypothetically, let's say me, that I'm staying here, living normally, normal life. I am aging in a way, and let's say I'm put in a car, and all, like, for 10 years I will just drive around. So my speed will be, if you check it for these past 10 years, my speed of moving, it will be way more higher if I go in the car, so more than if I just stay. So time will slow down for me, or
in that scenario, the difference in speed between just living normally and driving around in a car would be really small compared to the speed of light, so the effect on time would be negligible. You'd still age at pretty much the same rate. Time
it will be
dilation.
negligible, but it will show if the theory is right or not, if it will prove it. What you can tell me about the CERN experiment that they put those? Tell me something about it. What is there in CERN? The particles accelerating.
At CERN, they use particle accelerators to speed up particles to velocities that are incredibly close to the speed of light. This allows scientists to study all sorts of fascinating phenomena, including time dilation. The particles' lifespans actually appear longer when they're moving that fast, which is a direct proof of the theory
What
of
do you mean they
relativity.
appear longer? How they can measure how a particle ages, and how they made this particle, how they took it and put it there, and how they are spinning them there.
Alex. So what they do is they take tiny particles, like protons, and they accelerate them using powerful magnets in a huge circular tunnel. When these particles move close to the speed of light, their internal processes slow down from our perspective, so they last longer than they would if they were at rest. This is how scientists can measure time dilation directly,
I still
which is pretty cool.